Welcome to FTMO Performance Talks, the podcast about trading performance for serious traders.
Yes, there are many ways how trading affects the mood of the trader. And as you mentioned, it also works in the opposite direction, of course. So, if we would categorize the situations which can happen in trading and influence traders' mood, what can you think of?
Wow, so the first situation which pops up in my mind is a losing streak, right?
In 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Performance Talks. I'm Michael.
And my name is Nelly, and together we are FTMO performance coaches. And today's episode is all about the mood and how it may affect your trading. We'll discuss both how our trades may influence our mood and even self-esteem, and vice versa, how our mood can have an impact on our trading. And we'll dive even deeper and talk about some specific situations, or let's say scenarios, that you could most likely experience as a trader. And as always, few tips on what to be aware of. So stay tuned. Hi Michael, nice to see you again. So how's been your last few days? How's been everything? Do you have any news?
Hi, Nelly. Everything is going fine. Nothing new, which isn't a bad thing. Well, actually, one thing is new. I have visited dentist and I underwent the extraction of wisdom teeth. So I'm very happy that everything is going smoothly. What about you?
Oh, I see. Well, I believe you still remained wisdom even after the extraction. Hopefully.
Come on, Nelly.
And well, same here. I'm in a good mood and looking forward to our today's theme, mood and trading. What a topic, right?
Oh yeah. Mood and trading, trading and mood. I can hardly imagine any other profession which influences one's mindset and mood other than trading. One thing is that during trading you can experience lots of emotions. And I guess that also our listeners will agree if I say that many times it can get pretty intense, which is fine. But many times what happens is that a certain type of mood persists even after a trading session, which most of the time isn't something what we want, right? Do you have any thoughts about this?
Well, trading is so specific, and not only when it comes to this. We do see this every day, right? It is very common that FTMO traders actually book a coaching session with us because they are not able to handle their emotions. And as they share their stories, we know that it is the current circumstances in their personal lives which would often affect their trading. How much do they trade, the quality of their entry setups, and so on.
And what I find interesting about this is that many times traders don't see the connection between the personal life issues and their trading. And after we reveal it together, they are like, wow, I didn't even think about it in this way.
Yeah, and it is so important to not forget that it also works vice versa. For example, if they wouldn't have good results, it may have a negative impact on other aspects of their lives.
Yes, there are many ways how trading affects the mood of the trader. And as you mentioned, it also works in the opposite direction, of course. So if we would categorize the situations which can happen in trading and influence traders' mood, what can you think of?
Well, so the first situation which pops up in my mind is a losing streak, right? When you're experiencing more losses in a row, it can definitely influence your mood. I've been working with one of our clients. He's been using the same strategy for a decent amount of time, and so he had trust in it and was pretty disciplined. However, as you can imagine, market conditions changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and during that time he had more losses in a row, and he started to think, what is happening? Why is my strategy no longer working? What is going to happen? Is it gonna work again? Because yeah, he had never experienced anything like that all the time. He started to feel anxious. He wasn't able to see any way out, and he felt trapped. After all those months of profitable trading, it was the worst time and the first time when he experienced such a losing streak.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he started to wonder, is it me? Is it my strategy? Or is it really the market conditions?
Oh, yeah, that's so common. It's always hard to survive periods like that. And this one is one of them for sure.
And so, yeah, he started to look for an answer, right? So he was backtesting, he was reflecting on his performance while winning streaks. He was trying to analyze everything to resolve the issue.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know what is the worst?
No, you tell me.
Like on the top of all of this, what he experienced in trading, he was also experiencing some personal problems. And so he was even hesitating. What I started first?
Mm-hmm.
Was it that family issue of mine, which made me feel stressed, and then I was blind to see those volume trade setups? Or was it really just market conditions? He started to feel like a failure, and he got into that vicious cycle. He wasn't prospering in trading, and besides that, he was experiencing all those family stuff. And so he felt really down, dedicating all his time and energy to trading, feeling the pressure from his family, feeling stressed and depressed.
I see. I would say that this is a clear example where we can see where it can lead to. Maybe what I also see in your example is that it wasn't just trading, but more things were affecting his mood. I can imagine that this situation must have been pretty tough for him. And actually, when I'm thinking about this situation, I would say that oftentimes it's the negative traits and experiences which affects traders' mood the most. And it's interesting how people cope with this. I remember one client who, if he has winning trade on Friday morning, he doesn't continue to trade in the afternoon. Could you guess why?
Well, I guess you just didn't want to have the last trade of the week ending up as a loss and then being upset during the weekend. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
That is actually very smart, but at the same time, it could prevent you from getting those profits. Then you would skip a trade, which could end up greatly. Can you share your opinion, Michael?
Yes, this is exactly the reason why he decides not to trade anymore. Because, as he said, then he would be risking having a loss right before the weekend, which would lead to regrets and doubts. And I like what you say, because with this strategy, you are limiting yourself from getting further profits. But also, you are limiting yourself from getting a bad emotional paycheck. So, in this situation, if it would happen that he would left next trade on the table, it's important to answer the question, what is more important for me? Keeping my good mood or taking the next trade, which can be potentially a winner? And if I know what is the answer for me, and I'm missing a winning trade, I'm not regretting it, because I know what is my priority.
Okay, of course, it makes sense then.
And this is actually a very major thing to do as a trader. Think not only about the setups, but also on how I will react to the losses. Many times traders are not thinking about how they are going to accept the losses. Because if I have an emotional response after having a losing trade, then I need to have a plan for how I will work with it. Otherwise, it can lead to revenge trading, overtrading, which is basically I'm trading my emotions. And then it can end up isolating from other people, lack of energy, not doing anything else than watching the charts and thinking about the losses. And just not having fun from the things I like, because my mind is always occupied with my trading results.
Absolutely. This can be super tricky. If you let your trading results influence other aspects of your life, it can be so harmful. And we were discussing only the losing streaks and their impact on our personal life, right? But how about the winning streaks? How can they influence traders' lives? Can you share your thoughts on this?
Oh, sure. Having losses is tough and it's dangerous for our mindset. That's for sure. On the other hand, when you have a winning streak, it affects the mood and your life as well, which I think is quite interesting that many times we hear about the losing streak and how to handle it. But try to Google how to handle winning streak or how to handle profits in trading. because it is something what affects your mood as well, and also outside of the markets. If I have a big profit or winning streak, it's very easy to start to think that this will last for a long time. So I can quit my job or take more loans because now everything will be okay. And I can also be overconfident in general. Many things actually.
This is something so typical. A big percentage of traders unfortunately tends to connect their self-worth with their trading results. So if they would experience a losing streak, they would perceive themselves as losers, failures, simply not good enough. And vice versa, if they would be in a winning streak, then they would feel like they are the best, untouchable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And I also think that this is happening, like linking the self-worth to the current performance, which is completely irrational. Let's say the example. Imagine yourself as a shopkeeper and there are no customers in your shop, let's say for a week. Would you think that you are not worthy person, and would you feel insecure about yourself and your skills? Or would you think that maybe people are just not coming and that's it?
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. And another occurring phenomenon, which I'd like to mention, is the compensation of your mood through trading. Because if you think about it, trading can easily become some kind of way how to make yourself feel better. Because experiencing a winner can actually release the dopamine in your body, so then you'd really feel better, right?
Yep, and maybe Nelly, I just would like to explain to our listeners who might not have been familiar with this terminology. Dopamine, it's a hormone which stimulates our brain and it brings pleasant feelings. It has also lots to do with rewards and motivation. In other words, I want to make things which make me feel good, and they make me feel good through the dopamine.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you, Michael, for clarification.
Always here for help, Nelly.
Well, and then, for example, while having a bad day, you could easily find out yourself having that urge to chase the trades, because there is that possibility that it might be a winner, and so it will reduce that stress, at least for a short term. And this could actually become a habit, as you could start to use trading as some kind of tool for coping with all issues in your life. And maybe it can sound like a typical mistake of newbies or trading beginners, but in reality, you might experience something like that even if you've been in trading for a longer time.
Yes, that's for sure.
Basically, because you perceive it as some kind of security in your life, right? It can feel like trading is some kind of safe port for you, even. Especially if you've been profitable for the long term. Then, if you start to experience some issues in your personal life, it is natural that you'd feel like getting the dopamine, at least from your trading, from that safe place. And you could start to become attached to it.
Yeah, it sounds funny to call trading like a safe place. And yeah, actually, I think it's something what traders do, but they don't realize it. I remember one trader who was doing over trading and wasn't sticking to his strategy. One client of mine. He was just placing many trades. And when we did a little bit of an investigation, we found out that all those days are very, very similar. He has been placing trades in few minutes just after opening the platform. Outside of his strategy, of course. But every day it wasn't like that. This was only happening when he had a rough day in his job, because he had a boss who was really hard to get along with. And that was that frustration he wanted to fix with the trading. And he wasn't totally aware of it.
I see. Well, it's actually amazing that he had this opportunity to discuss it with someone else, because sometimes we don't even realize what we've been doing and what we've been feeling till this time when we must explain our procedure and how we feel to someone else, right?
That's a different story.
And again, this can become so tricky because sometimes these random trades actually work, right? But sometimes they don't.
Most of the time.
And it can be actually kind of addictive. In psychology, we call this partial reinforcement. And for those who've never heard about it before, typical partial reinforcement is when you get the reinforcement only sometimes and not every time the desired behavior occurs. To make it clear, let me tell you about the experiment with 3 monkeys done by scientists at Cambridge University.
Okay.
Where all these monkeys got a task to do, and then their behavior was observed depending upon the reward that they got or didn't get after completing the task. So, the first monkey was instructed to do the task, and when it was completed, the monkey got a banana. Always after completing the task, the reward was there.
Mhm.
However, as the monkey got used to getting a banana, the dopamine levels remained the same over time.
Uh-huh.
However, the second monkey expected to get a reward, but got none. So the dopamine neurons decreased their firing rate as if to signal a lack of reward.
Mhm.
And in the last case, the monkey was rewarded absolutely randomly. So there was a reward after the first attempt, then, I don't know, on the 5th attempt, and so on.
Mhm.
Although the reward was uncertain, the monkey knew that the reward was coming sometime, someday, and kept constantly working, completing the tasks, and hoping that the reward would come.
Mhm.
And in the end, its dopamine levels showed the highest rate after receiving the reward. Similarly, when it comes to trading, you aren't rewarded 100% of the time, and there isn't a negative consequence 100% of the time either.
Mhm.
It is all about probabilities, and so if you're gonna chase those trades, if you're gonna take those trades which are not according to your strategy, or those trades which don't meet all of your criteria, then still, it may happen that basically due to luck, you will get that profit.
Yeah, and I think that's the tricky part about that. That sometimes you just get the reward for bad behavior.
Yeah.
And thank you, Nelly, for this experiment. Actually, I've never heard about this. And I think it's a nice explanation of what is going on behind on a biological level. And because sometimes trades outside of your strategy works, that means that you are getting the reward randomly. So as a result, you are strengthening the bad habits.
Yeah, that's what I meant. But well, Michael, tell me, how do you work with people who would be experiencing this? Maybe, there's someone who's listening to us at this moment and perhaps has been going through a similar scenario. They would feel down and have that urge to check the charts, and perhaps they would even open some random trades. What would you recommend to them?
I know it may sound like a general advice, but the best thing to do is not to trade at the moment. Because what am I trading then? Is it my strategy or is it my urge to get that dopamine and wanting myself to feel better? And the thing is, the bad mood can be created outside of trading, but also during trading as well. Many times I can feel bad emotions after having a stop loss with 2 pips or after I make a mistake. And the procedure is always the same. Stop trading. Many traders think that it's a sign of weakness or something and that they need to trade regardless of their emotional state. I see it's more professional thing that a trader can do, because if I'm trading and I'm not 100% okay, I'm putting myself in a risk that I'm not getting to trade my plan, but my emotions. So really the best piece of advice I can give to anyone, if your mood is off, stop trading. Go and do something what makes you happy. Wait until your mood settles down and then come back and trade when you have a clear head.
And And it's important to find an edge, When are you too emotional? When are you able to trade? Because there will be some days when you'll feel down, of course, and still you'll have to show up. However, bring that mindfulness in such days. Be brutally honest to yourself. Can I really focus on trading today? Is there that brain fog? Or I'll be able to see those entry setups with clarity.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I see that we are running out of the time. So maybe the last thing before we say goodbye is that watching the emotional state is always step number one. And then finding something what makes you feel better instead of trading. It can be anything. Turn on your favorite TV show, go on bike, sing a song, whatever. Just do something to break that bad mood. So it was very nice to talk with you, Nelly, today. And I'm looking forward for next time.
Me too, Michael. Really enjoyed that. So goodbye, everyone, and don't let your mood impact your trading. And trade safe.
Trade safe. Goodbye, guys.
This was FTMO Performance Talks. And for more, follow us on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, and our YouTube channel.